Can you solve all these Class 10 English poem, Chapter 3 A Tiger, in the zoo questions? Snarls meaning.
Correct. Warning sound is the right answer.
What are fangs? Smart move. Long sharp teeth is an accurate answer.
What does he stare at?
Good thinking. Stars is the right answer. Author of the chapter. Well reasoned. Eleanor, these is the correct choice.
Why does a tiger hunt? Well done. For food is the right choice.
How old was Harry Singh?
Valid point. 15 years old is true.
What is the rhyme scheme?
Clear logic. Your choice ABCB sound.
What does stalking means? Well picked. Sliding is the correct answer. Where did the tiger hide? Excellent choice. Shadow is the right answer. In a cage, a tiger is dash. Bravo. Raged and troubled is the answer. Who is stalking in the cage? Great thinking. Tiger is the right choice. How are the pads of a tiger? You chose velvet. And it is correct.
Water patrolling at night?
Good job. Cars works well here. What is lurking in the shadow?
Exactly. Tiger makes sense.
How are the eyes of the tiger? Solid response. Brilliant is a valid choice. Resource is the result of dash. Nice selection. Human processes is the correct and valid answer. Who passes near the water hole? Great job. Fat deer is the accurate answer.
How does a tiger feel in a cage? Nicely done. Angry is a solid answer.
What is the meaning of snarling? You're right. Growling is the correct answer. Who was more anxious for a reply?
Nice work. You chose Maddie, and it is correct. What describes tiger in a cell?
Correct response. Baring his white fangs is the most accurate answer. What does the word lurking means? On track. Waiting secretly is the correct answer.
How do the eyes of the tiger look?
Smart pick. Brilliant is the correct choice. The rhyming words in the poem are sharp thinking. Cars stars is the right choice. Where do the tigers hunt the deer? Right choice. Near the water hole is the best answer. Why should he be lurking in shadow? You got it. Your choice to catch the deer fits well. What does a tiger have on his body? Right again. Stripes is a valid answer. What described tiger in a jungle? Excellent. Baring his white fangs is a brilliant choice. Where should the tiger be snarling? Perfect. At the jungle's edge is the correct choice. Where is the tiger's strength locked? Strong choice. Behind the bars is the right answer. Who is the author of Tiger in the Zoo? Nice work. You chose Leslie Norris, and it is correct. What kind of deer visit the waterhole? You chose Plump, and it is correct.
What has been personified in the poem? Correct response. Tiger is the most accurate answer.
The tiger ignoring visitors shows dash.
Solid response. His disdain and disinterest is a valid choice. Shadow here refers to the shadow of.
Exactly. Long grass makes sense. In his natural habitat, a tiger is dash.
Right again. Happy and joyful is a valid answer. Where should the tiger hide to himself?
Strong choice. In the shadows is the right answer.
What is the synonym of the word lurking?
Good thinking. Being in ambush is the right answer.
What did the tiger in the zoo represents? Bravo. Emphasizes on freedom is the answer. At what does the tiger look at in night? Correct. Stars is the right answer. Dash wrote the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. On track. Leslie Norris is the correct answer. What sound does the tiger hear at night? Great thinking. Patrolling cars is the right choice. How does the tiger feel inside the cage? Well done. Angry is the right choice.
What is the color of the eye in a tiger?
Nicely done. Brilliant is a solid answer. How do the villagers feel to see a tiger? Excellent. Terrified is a brilliant choice. How should the tiger walk through the grass? Smart move. With ease is an accurate answer.
The poem A Tiger in the Zoo emphasizes on.
Well reasoned. Importance of freedom is the correct choice. Which natural resource has limited reserves? Perfect. Mineral oil is the correct choice. What does the tiger hunt near the waterhole? Clear logic. Your choice, dear, is sound. Which of the following traits describes Anil? Nice selection. Easygoing and kind is the correct and valid answer. The tiger hears the sound of the dash at night. Smart pick. Patrolling cars is the correct choice. How does the caged tiger react to the visitors? Well picked. He ignores them is the correct answer. According to the poet, where should the tiger be? Excellent choice. In the jungle is the right answer. Where do you think the tiger should be snarling? Great job. At the jungle's edge is the accurate answer. What does the word stocks suggest in the poem? Sharp thinking. Slow, measured movement is the right choice. Who is the poet of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo? You got it? Your choice, Leslie Norris, fits well. Name the writer of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. You're right. Leslie Norris is the correct answer. What is the tiger's attitude towards the visitors? Good job. Ignoring works well here. The alluvial soil consists of various proportion of. Valid point. All of the above is true. He stalks in his vivid strips find the poetic device. Right choice. Consonants is the best answer. What is brilliant in the poem Tiger in the Zoo?
You got it. Your choice both and fits well.
Plump deer pass. Which poetic device has been used?
Well reasoned. Alliteration is the correct choice.
Which poetic device is used in his quiet rage?
Excellent choice. Oxymoron is the right answer.
What was the color of the dress in Peggy drawing? Smart move. Green is an accurate answer.
Who felt herself coward after Wanda left the school? Good thinking. Maddie is the right answer.
Which poetic device is used in the last 3 lines?
Great thinking. Span is the right choice.
The phrase, locked in a concrete cell, best reflects. Nice selection. Cruelty and restriction is the correct and valid answer.
The meaning of the phrase fits and starts means dash.
Right again. Occasionally is a valid answer.
The land becomes unfit for cultivation and is known as.
Excellent. Bad land is a brilliant choice.
Animals kept in captivity is a shameful act of cruelty.
Nicely done. Yes is a solid answer.
The tiger's movements in the cage are described as dash.
Right choice. Quiet and restricted is the best answer.
A tiger in the zoo is a part of Dash's short biography. Valid point. Leslie Norris is true.
How did the tiger fell when it is locked in concrete cell? Perfect. Angry is the correct choice.
Like human beings, the tiger too loves and values his dash.
Good job. Freedom works well here.
Name the poetic device used in the line, plump deer pass.
Sharp thinking. Alliteration is the right choice.
Bearing his white fangs his claws, what is the poetic device?
Strong choice. Consonance is the right answer.
What contrast is central to the poem? A tiger in the zoo.
Solid response. Freedom vis captivity is a valid choice.
The result of indiscriminate exploitation of resources is.
Great job. All of the above is the accurate answer.
What emotion is not associated with the tiger in the cage? Correct response. Freedom is the most accurate answer. Name the poetic device used in the line. A concrete cell. Nice work. You chose alliteration and it is correct. How did Miss Mason feel about whatever happened with Wanda?
Well picked. Both 1 and 2 is the correct answer.
Name the poetic device used in the line. In his quiet rage.
Correct. Oxymoron is the right answer.
The national animal in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo is dash.
Clear logic. Your choice tiger is sound.
What is the rhyme scheme of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo is?
You chose ABCB and it is correct.
On the basis of the factors responsible for soil formation are. Well done. All of the above is the right choice. What is the mood of the tiger in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo? Smart pick. Angry is the correct choice. The main contrasting idea suggested by the extract is that of dash.
Exactly. Confinement and freedom makes sense.
Name the poetic device used in the line.
On pads of velvet quiet.
Bravo. Metaphor is the answer.
Which commission introduced the concept of sustainable development?
You're right. Brundtland Commission is the correct answer.
Which literary device has been used in On Pads of Velvet Quiet?
On track. Metaphor is the correct answer.
Which literary device is used in the line, His strength behind bars?
Good job. Irony works well here.
Laterite has been derived from the dash word later, which means dash.
Good thinking. Latin. Brick is the right answer.
What tone is used by the poet when talking about the tiger in the zoo?
Smart move. Sympathetic and reflective is an accurate answer.
What does the poem suggest about the role of humans in the tiger's life? Right choice. Captors and oppressors is the best answer. Name the poetic device used in the line. Stalks in his vivid stripes. Smart pick. Consonance is the correct choice. His strength behind bars. Name the 3 poetic devices used in this line.
Exactly. Personification, metonymy, and alliteration makes sense.
Stalks in his vivid stripes. Which literary device is used in the line?
You're right. All of the above is the correct answer.
Why does the tiger in the poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, go near the water hole?
Well reasoned. To search his prey victim is the correct choice.
Name the poetic device used in the line, bearing his white fangs, his claws. Right again. Consonance is a valid answer. Which poetic device is used in Snarling Around Houses at the Jungle's Edge?
Valid point. Imagery is true.
What kind of a cell is the tiger locked in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo?
Solid response. Concrete cell is a valid choice.
Pick the phrase that does not suggest that the forest in the extract is lush.
Correct response. Lurking in shadow is the most accurate answer.
The pads of the tiger is compared to velvet. The literary device used here is on track. Metaphor is the correct answer. What is the artificial habitat of the tiger in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo? Correct cage is the right answer. What was the description of the house which Maddie thought to be Wanda's house? Nice selection. Little White House is the correct and valid answer. The fact that the tiger is stalking the length of his cage tells us that he is sharp thinking. Restless is the right choice. Who do you think is the tiger's favorite prey, as per the poem A Tiger in the Zoo?
You got it. Your choice A, plump deer, fits well.
Which stanzas show the imagination of the poet for the tiger to be in his natural habitat? Well done. 2 and 3 is the right choice. On pads of velvet quiet. What is the metaphor in this line of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo?
Nice work. You chose pads of velvet, and it is correct.
Is it a crocodile? Excellent. No, it isn't is a brilliant choice. Are there elephants in the zoo?
Bravo. Yes, there are is the answer.
Everything available in our environment which satisfy their needs, which is technological, accessible,
economically feasible, culturally acceptable can be termed as
Strong choice. Resources is the right answer.
the words slosh, thud are examples of the onomatopoeic words phonetically resembling the sound that they describe. Choose the option that fits the given description. You chose snarling, and it is correct.
He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village, which are the rhyming words of the lines of the poem, A Tiger in the Zoo.
Clear logic. Your choice, Edge Village, is sound.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Great thinking. Contact Narayan Chengder on Facebook is the right choice.